Hey guys, how you going? Michael here. Just been out early morning for photography. Well, actually not that early, thank God. In Sydney at the moment, it's just the start of May and the sun's rising at about 6:30 in the morning, so that's pretty good. I'm pretty fortunate of that. In summer, sometimes the sun's coming up at like around 5, just after 5, and that's pretty awful. But yeah, this one is pretty good. I was yesterday, I've been at home, had a couple of days off work, and it is during the pandemic and pools are shut, beaches are shut, and everything's shut basically. But I just wanted to get out and take some photos. I figure early in the morning I shouldn't get arrested. So come down to a beach in Sydney, Maroubra. Actually just on the left side of the beach there's a rock pool, which is one of my favorite spots to photograph. Usually there's people down here every day of the week taking photos, people swimming, at Sparrow's Fart, and all day long. It's a really nice little rock pool. It's nice and clean, and fresh air, water, sunshine. What's not to like? Anyway, I thought I would come down here and get some shots, and just I was up in my attic and putting something away yesterday, and I remembered about my old D600, one of my first good DSLR. Pretty old now. I'm not sure exactly how old, although I was looking the other day at DSO and it still ranks right up there with the best of the cameras, which is quite surprising really. Like, you would have thought that technology would have just gone ahead in leaps and bounds as far as sensor performance, but no. It obviously hasn't, because nobody wants these D600s for some reason. They got a really bad mention about oil splattering onto the sensor, and my original one that I bought brand new, it did have a little bit of oil. It probably wasn't actually, in hindsight. It's probably, I had a 5D Mark II before that camera, and that camera had heaps more oil, or whatever you want to call it, on the sensor than my D600. Anyway, I got the shutter replaced in that one, the original one that I had, and then I bought this one, and this one had the shutter replaced. So Nikon offers, I don't know if they still do, but they're offering a service to replace the whole shutter mech and, resolve that problem, which was, that's a big sort of service item, and I thought that was pretty responsible and, quite good of Nikon to come to the party on that and acknowledge, yeah, there was a problem, we're going to fix it. So anyway, this is my second D600, and again, not one of the most, probably the ugly duckling of the Nikon family. The autofocus system is not fantastic. The live view autofocus is really horrendous and hit and miss, even though I do like to give it a whirl because I've just become accustomed to that method. And yeah, it doesn't have a digital viewfinder like modern mirrorless cameras do. It's got a small cluster of autofocus points. I think there's 39 in the center. I find them to work reasonably, not too bad. Other people sort of harp on about how terrible the autofocus is, but I don't believe that necessarily. Yeah, so I thought I would take it out. I think it's a 24 megapixel camera, and took it down to the beach. And what lens did I bring? I've sold a lot of my Nikon gear, unfortunately. I did keep some of my favorite stuff, and one of my favorite lenses, which again is one of the lenses which is given a bad rap all the time by many people, is the 18-35 3.5 to 4.5D. Okay, this little lens. A lot of people harp on about that this lens is garbage, it's no good, it's soft, blurry. I don't know what their argument is, but you know what? I found this lens to be exceptionally good. I really like the build quality is great. Like, you know, it's very smooth. Like, my copy's not brand new. It was a secondhand one again. I like to buy things secondhand. You know, I think it's a good thing to do. If you can find something good secondhand, why not buy it secondhand? Because, you know, you're saving environment and recycling, and it's good for everybody. Somebody's not using it and you're going to use it. Like, why not buy things secondhand? So hell yeah. 18 to 35 range I find really good. 18's not so wide that it starts to make things look really distorted and out of proportion and things like that, but I find that the 35 is a good range. So 18 to 35, yeah, good range. 3.5 to 4.5. Not the fastest lens, but not the slowest, you know. This is, you know, an average of f4, so that's pretty similar to a lot of 16 to 35 lenses. Now 16 would be nice to have the 16 to 35, I must admit, but I don't really want to fork out $1,000 for that lens particularly, especially when I have the 10 to 24 Fuji lens, which is, you know, uber sharp. You know, it's like gorgeous, and the Nikon is just unknown. But anyway, and this is the only Nikon body that I have at the moment. So anyway, been down to the beach, I've taken my photos. I'm going to go back into Lightroom, have a look at them, and then I'll put them up in this video, and then I'll have a little spiel about how I feel that this camera went. I do think it's going to be a bit hit and miss and not as reliable as a mirrorless, but we'll discuss that after. Hey guys, yeah, I've finished editing my photos, as you've seen already, and I've thrown in a little bit of video to show you the video quality of the D600, which is pretty ordinary on today's standards, unfortunately. That's not really what this camera's all about. This camera's more about the pictures. I am gonna pack it up again. I've got too many cameras to choose from, really, and this is really just sort of a camera that I like to keep because I've sort of got a sentimental spot for this camera. I don't know why. I really like the images that come out of it. I like the colors and the contrast, and I feel that it produces really good images. And I've heard so many times that the D600 and the D610 create awful images and people don't like the image quality, and I just really don't get it. I think it's just some sort of prejudice they have towards this camera, being the flaws that it has. The flaws, major flaws, being that it did have that oil spot issue. It did have a very small buffer, so it would run out, you know, and the video, of course, was terrible. Video autofocus was unusable. So, but overall, as a photography tool, the images, I think they're fantastic. I love them. I mean, you can look at my images and judge for yourself. I'll put them on my Flickr page and you can make up your own mind whether you think they're any good or not. For me, they're really good. I'm going to hang on to this camera. I think it's just as good as any camera today. In practice, I've still got a number of Nikon lenses to use on this camera. I wouldn't say that this is the best wide angle lens going, that's for sure. It's not. It's a pretty average wide angle lens, but it does a nice job. If you're not making huge prints, this lens will do a great job. And this lens being the 18 to 50, 18 to 35, 3.5 to 4.5D. These are cheap as chips. You know, you could probably buy a D600 now for 500 Australian, and you could buy this lens for probably about 350 to 400 Australian. So for $800, you got a nice wide angle sort of landscape kit going straight away for 800 bucks. I reckon that's a good price for the quality of the images that you're going to get out of it. I reckon that's good value, fantastic value. Really, we all, and myself included, get caught up in the trap of, you know, feeling that if we buy a newer camera, it's going to be better image quality. That really is a trap. It's not better image quality at all. These older cameras, the sensor technology really hasn't advanced that much. What has advanced is the operation of the camera. The cameras now are getting better pictures much more easily. You know, they focus more accurately. The exposure is calculated more accurately. It has better scene recognition to calculate exposures and get the best exposure for your type of scene. You know, they got face detection, eye detection, animal detection. All these things are just, you know, technology based. That's what's separating the new cameras from a camera like this. But honestly, if you know how to use your camera, and I would say this is a good place to start, because it's gonna, you know, force you to, even this makes it pretty easy, I think, easier than when I started. But if you're gonna start and you want a good cheap camera, this is fantastic for pictures. You're not going to get any better quality by buying the latest mirrorless camera. No, you're just going to get ease of use. And, you know, I do have a sentimental spot. I'm going to put this camera away. I love it. It was probably the first camera that I used professionally, the D600. And I do have a soft spot for it. So there's a bit of prejudice in this. But in saying that, after the photos I took today, and I haven't used the D600 for a long time, I can safely say that it's still very capable, So I'm gonna pack it up now. Got the original box. I'm gonna pack it up into the box, put it away probably, and for another few years, or until I get some interesting Nikon lens that I want to use. And that's it. Have a great day. Catch you later.